12:45 p.m., December 20th, 1943. The altitude is 27,000 feet, but the world has shrunk to the size of this cockpit. The air temperature outside is 60 degrees below zero. Inside, it is not much warmer. Second Lieutenant Charlie Brown, 379th Bombardment Group, fights the yoke, his hands, even through thick gloves, aching from the cold and the vibration. This is his first mission as an aircraft commander. He is 21 years old. The aircraft, a B-17F, flying under the name Ye Old Pub, is a wreck. The plexiglass nose is gone, shattered by a 20mm shell, exposing the crew to a wind that screams at over 150 miles per hour. The mission was a success technically. The Focke-Wulf 190 factory in Bremen, Germany is burning, but the cost is staggering. The bomber stream is gone. The 379th has moved on, leaving them behind. Brown's bomber is alone. The intercom crackles, but it is not a report. It is a tapestry of silence and pained breathing. Engine number 2 on the port wing is dead, its propeller feathered. Engine number 4 is failing, trailing smoke and oil, a victim of flak so dense it seemed one could walk on it. The magnetic compass is destroyed, the hydraulic systems are gone. The radio operator reports his equipment is shattered. From the tail, there is only silence. Sergeant Hugh Blackie Eckenrode, the tail gunner, has not responded for 10 minutes. The oxygen system on the port side is gone. Brown looks at his co-pilot, Second Lieutenant Spencer Pinky Luke. They are no longer flying a Fortress. They are piloting a sieve, a collection of aluminum holes, held together by luck and the sheer stubbornness of its design. They are losing altitude, falling out of the safe air of the bomber box and into the hunting grounds of the German fighters. Brown is a pilot, an engineer by training. He understands the math. The math is simple. They are not going home, they are dead. This is the quiet thought that settles over Charlie Brown. The flak over Bremen has stopped, a mercy for which he is grimly thankful. But he knows what comes next. The formation is miles ahead, a distant speck of aluminum dots. A straggler, wounded and slow, is not a challenge for the Luftwaffe. It is an invitation. It is meat on the table. His top turret gunner, Sergeant Bertulia, is wounded. A shell fragment in his leg. The ball turret is unresponsive. The waist gunners are low on ammunition and half frozen. Brown is flying on instruments he can barely trust, and 2 engines that are screaming in protest. His only goal is the North Sea. If they can reach the water, perhaps a rescue. But the German coast is still miles away. Then, Pinky sees it. A small dark shape, closing fast from the starboard quarter. It is not the familiar, reassuring shape of a P-51 Mustang. It is sleek, predatory, and yellow-nosed. A Messerschmitt Bf-109. The interceptor doesn't approach from the rear, the standard attack vector against a B-17. It slows, matching their crippled speed, and pulls up alongside the cockpit, no more than 50 feet away. Brown's heart seizes. This is the end, the final pass. The German pilot will tear them apart with his 30mm cannon. He can see the pilot clearly, a man in a leather helmet and goggles, staring at them. The German pilot raises a gloved hand. He is not firing. He is looking. Brown and the German pilot lock eyes, 2 men suspended at 20,000 feet, bound by the glass of their canopies, and a war that demands they kill each other. But the Messerschmitt's guns remain silent. What he didn't know was that this pilot's decision would redefine the meaning of warfare. The air war over the Reich in 1943 is a matter of brutal arithmetic. The 8th Air Force, operating from bases in England, subscribes to the doctrine of unescorted, high-altitude daylight precision bombing. The theory, championed by air power advocates, is that the Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress, with its 1350 caliber machine guns, can create a combat box of overlapping fire, defending itself against interceptors. Field reports from 1943 tell a different story. The reality is a nightmare. A report from the 306th Bomb Group notes, losses on recent missions are considered unsustainable. Fighter opposition is heavier and more aggressive than anticipated. German fighter tactics, honed by Jagdgeschwader units, focus on breaking the boxes. They attack from the front, where the B-17's forward-facing guns are fewest, using 20mm and 30mm cannons to shatter the cockpit and kill the pilots. The Schweinfurt-Regensburg mission in August and the second raid on Schweinfurt in October, known as Black Thursday, prove the fallacy of the unescorted doctrine. The 8th Air Force loses 60 bombers on that day, 600 men lost in a matter of hours. The Luftwaffe proves that without long-range fighter escort, the fortress is a vulnerability. The Bremen raid of December 20th is part of this ongoing calculus of loss. The target, the Focke-Wulf 190 assembly plant, is critical. The 379th Bomb Group is assigned to the target. Their after-action reports will state, target successfully attacked, heavy flak, intense fighter opposition. The official language masks the cold terror. Intense fighter opposition means a sky full of men whose sole job is to kill them, and who are extraordinarily good at it. A B-17 separated from the formation has an average life expectancy, according to one grim, unofficial study, of less than 2 minutes. On the ground at Jever Airfield, Oberleutnant Franz Stiegler steps away from his Bf 109 G6. He is refueling and rearming. He is already an experte, a German ace with 27 confirmed aerial victories. He is one victory away from the Ritterkreuz, the Knight's Cross, Germany's highest military honor. He is tired. The war has been long. He has fought in North Africa with Jagdgeschwader 27 under the legendary Gustav Rödel. He has flown against the British in the Desert Air Force, men he considered professionals. This new war, the defense of the Reich, feels different. It feels like butchery. Shooting down the Viermots, the 4-engine bombers, is not the chivalrous duel of his training. It is killing men in slow, lumbering machines. But it is his duty. He carries the words of his former commander Rödel as a personal creed. Rödel had assembled his pilots. You are fighter pilots. You will follow the rules of war. If I ever hear of one of you shooting at a man in a parachute, I will shoot you myself. Stiegler's own brother, August, was a Luftwaffe pilot, lost earlier in the war. He understands loss. A call comes from the flight controller. A lone B-17, crippled, is heading north from Bremen, limping toward the coast. It is a guaranteed kill, an easy victory to secure his Knight's Cross. Stiegler finishes his cigarette, nods to his crew chief and climbs back into the cockpit. The engine catches, he taxis, takes off, and climbs through the thin, icy clouds, hunting for his 28th kill. Experts agreed. A lone damaged B-17 separated from the herd was a guaranteed victory. It couldn't be done. It couldn't possibly survive. If you find this intersection of military duty and moral conflict compelling, the story only gets deeper from here. Ludwig Franz Stiegler is a product of Old World Bavaria. Born in 1915, he is a pilot by nature, long before he is a soldier by necessity. His father was a World War I observer. The sky is in his blood. Before the war, he is a Lufthansa airline pilot, a job he loves. He is not a fervent Nazi. He is a fervent flyer. He is a professional driven by a sense of technical mastery and a code of conduct that seems almost archaic in the furnace of the 1940s. He is a knight of the air, a concept that is rapidly fading in an era of industrial-scale warfare. When the war begins, he is drawn into the Luftwaffe, where his talents are undeniable. His service in North Africa shapes him. The Afrika Korps and the Desert Air Force fight a hard war, but one marked by a strange residual chivalry. Pilots who are shot down and captured are often treated with respect, their adversaries recognizing a shared experience in the harshness of the desert. But the defense of the Reich is different. The bombing of German cities has hardened attitudes. The official doctrine is that bomber crews are terror flyers, murderers, not soldiers. Stiegler resists this. He sees the B-17s as machines, and the men inside as professionals doing a job, just as he is. His 27 victories have been hard won. Each one is a complex equation of angle, speed, and deflection, but he is weary of the killing. The Knight's Cross is a symbol of duty, but the duty itself is becoming a heavy burden. As he climbs toward the reported straggler, he knows exactly what to do. His Bf 109 G6 is armed with a 30mm cannon firing through the propeller hub, and two 13mm machine guns. His plan is simple. Approach from the rear quarter high out of the blind spot of the tail gunner and place his cannon shells into the wing route. It is a clean, efficient, and impersonal kill. He breaks through the overcast at 22,000 feet and sees it. A B-17 flying low and slow, trailing smoke. It is exactly as reported. An easy kill. He banks, dropping onto its 6 o'clock position, his thumb moving to the gun trigger. He closes to 300 meters, then 200. He is in range. But something is wrong. The bomber's guns are silent. He gets closer, dangerously close, and sees why. The tail gun station is gone. The rear of the fuselage is shredded and the tail gunner himself is slumped forward, his uniform dark. He is clearly dead. Stigler frowns. This is not a fight. He moves his 109, sliding underneath the bomber, a position from which he can see the full extent of the damage. The belly is ripped open. The ball turret is mangled. He pulls up alongside the wing, and his professional assessment turns to shock. He can see inside the aircraft. He sees men, half frozen, working on a wounded crewmate. The nose cone is completely gone. He pulls further forward until he is flying in formation with the cockpit. He sees the pilot, a young man, staring at him with wide-eyed terror. Stigler is now faced with a choice. He has a duty to the Reich to destroy this enemy aircraft. He has the ambition for the Knight's Cross, but he also has the voice of Gustav Rödel in his head. If I ever hear of one of you shooting at a man in a parachute. He looks at the shattered B-17. This, he thinks, is the same. This is not a war machine. It is a hearse flown by ghosts. To shoot it down would be murder. His thumb moves away from the trigger. The crazy idea forms he cannot kill them. He must save them. He tries to gesture to the American pilot. Sweden. He points east. Neutral Sweden is closer than England. Land there. Save your men. The American pilot only stares, uncomprehending. The tension in the B-17 cockpit is unbearable. Brown sees the German pilot gesturing, but he doesn't understand. Is he toying with them? Is this a new form of psychological torture before the kill? Brown instructs Pinky to hold the controls, and he waves his wounded top turret gunner, Sergeant Bertuglia, to get the 109 in his sights. Bertuglia struggles to move the turret, but the systems are damaged and he is weak. The guns will not bear. The B-17 is utterly defenseless. And still, the 109 does not fire. It just stays there, a silent painted shark, glued to their wing. Stigler sees the B-17's top turret attempting to move. He understands the fear. He is a threat, but he also sees something else on the horizon, the German coastline. He knows this area. He knows that just ahead is a massive coastal flak battery. The battery's gunners are trained to fire on any Wehrmacht that approaches. They will not hesitate. They will finish what the fighters and flak over Bremen started. Stigler makes his decision. He is no longer an adversary. He is an escort. He maneuvers his Bf-109, positioning it slightly above and to the port side of the B-17, placing his own aircraft in the most visible position relative to the ground. He is making his aircraft a shield. It is a colossal gamble. The flak gunners are trained to hold fire if a friendly fighter is near a bomber, assuming the fighter is escorting it to a capture field. He is banking on that procedure. He is using the rules of the Reich to defy its orders. The B-17 and the Bf-109 fly on. Brown is confused. Why is the German pilot positioning himself like that? They cross the coast. Far below, the men in the flak battery look up. They see the B-17. They see the Bf-109 in close escort. The flak commander, as Stigler predicted, gives the order, "Hold fire, friendly escort." The guns remain silent. Charlie Brown, unaware, has just passed through his second gauntlet, protected by the very man sent to kill him. Stigler has successfully escorted his enemy through Germany's last line of defense. They are now over the cold, grey water of the North Sea. The test is a success. The flak battery is behind them. The open sea is ahead. Stigler knows the B-17, even as damaged as it is, has a better chance of reaching England than he does of surviving a flight to Sweden. His job here is done. He has flown with them for 10 agonizing minutes. He pulls his 109 in closer one last time. Wingtip to wingtip. He looks directly at Charlie Brown. The two men are separated by less than 30 feet of empty, freezing air. Stigler sees the shock and disbelief on the American's face. He brings his gloved right hand up to his helmet in a crisp, formal military salute. He holds it for a second, a gesture of respect from one pilot to another. Then he banks his Messerschmitt sharply, peeling away, and turns back toward the German coast, his fuel gauges running dangerously low. Brown and Pinky stare at the empty sky where the 109 had been. They are alone again, but they are alive. The adrenaline of the encounter gives way to the mechanical reality of their situation. They are still 250 miles from England in a plane that is barely flying. The rest of the flight is a brutal exercise in survival. They throw everything they can overboard to lighten the load. Guns, ammunition, radios. The plane sinks, dropping from 20 feet to just a few hundred feet above the waves. But the two remaining engines hold. Just as they believe they are lost, they spot the coast of England. They fire every flare they possess. Red, red, red. Wounded aboard. They are too low to bail out. They must land. They spot an airfield, RAF Seething, home of the 448th Bomb Group, and Brown brings the shattered bomber in. He has no hydraulics, no flaps, no brakes. The plane slams onto the runway, slews sideways and tears across the grass, finally coming to a stop. The crews on the ground, who had gathered to watch the hot landing, are silent. They have never seen an aircraft so utterly destroyed make it home. If stories like this fascinate you, stay with us. The next chapter of wartime innovation might surprise you. Franz Stiegler lands back at Jever Airfield with his fuel tanks almost empty. His crew chief rushes up, eager. "Did you get him, Herr Oberleutnant? Is that number 28? Stiegler climbs out of his cockpit, his face an unreadable mask. He lights a cigarette. The encounter has shaken him. He knows what he must do. He walks to the operations room to file his report. He cannot tell the truth. To admit he not only spared an enemy bomber but escorted it to safety is high treason. It is a firing squad offense. It would be seen as a betrayal of his comrades, his country, and his duty. His defense of his actions is internal, silent, and absolute. He sacrificed the Knight's Cross to keep his humanity. He sits at the typewriter. "Engaged 1B-17, heavily damaged," he types. "Aircraft observed to be losing altitude rapidly. It fell into the North Sea. Confirmed kill." He lies. He claims his 28th victory, a ghost. In England, Charlie Brown faces his own debriefing. He and his crew are taken to the medical station. His tail gunner, Blackie Ekenrode, has not survived his wounds. 5 others are injured, but they are alive. Brown is taken to an intelligence officer. He recounts the mission, the flak, the fighters, and then he tells the unbelievable part. "A 109. He flew with us. He didn't shoot. I think he saluted me." The intelligence officer listens, his face grim. The officer makes a note. Brown is ordered to repeat the story to his commanding officer. The reaction is swift and absolute. "Lieutenant, you will not repeat this story. Not to anyone." The official report is classified. The military command cannot, in the midst of a brutal war, allow a story to circulate that humanizes the enemy. There can be no good German pilots. The narrative of the Hun is essential for morale. Brown is told to forget it. The incident is buried. The real test for Charlie Brown is not the landing, it is the order to remain silent. He finishes his combat tour, as does his co-pilot, Pinky Luke. They are awarded medals for bringing Ye Old Pub home. The aircraft itself is scrapped, too damaged to ever fly again. A technical report states it has sustained over 1,500 hits from flak and cannon shells. Brown is shaken by the war and by the secret he carries. He remains in the Air Force, serves in Korea and Vietnam, and retires as a lieutenant colonel. But the memory of the German pilot's salute haunts his dreams. He has to know. Who was he? Why did he do it? For Franz Stiegler, the war continues. He is transferred to the jet fighter squadron, flying the Messerschmitt Me 262. He survives the war, ending with 28 official victories, one of which he knows is a lie. After the war, he finds Germany in ruins. He struggles to find work. He is a pilot without a plane, a soldier without a war. In 1953, hearing that Canada is looking for pilots and mechanics, he emigrates. He settles near Vancouver, British Columbia. He becomes a successful businessman in the logging industry. He never speaks of the war, and he never ever tells the story of the B-17 he let go. It is a secret he believes he will take to his grave. In the late 1980s, the nightmares return to Charlie Brown. He is retired, living in the United States. He decides he must find the pilot. It becomes an obsession. He attends a reunion of bomber pilots. He tells the story. Most don't believe him. He scours archives. He writes to Luftwaffe historical societies. Finally, in 1986, he places an advertisement in a newsletter for German fighter pilot veterans. The ad is simple. I am looking for the pilot of a Bf-109 who, on December 20th, 1943, saved my crippled B-17 and escorted it to the North Sea. I want to know his name. The ad circulates for 4 years. Then in 1990, Franz Stigler, now living in Vancouver, receives a copy from a friend. He reads the small advertisement. He freezes. His secret. After 47 years, his secret has found him. He writes a letter to Charlie Brown. Dear Mr. Brown, it begins, I was that pilot. He describes the details only the two of them could have known. The damage to the plane, the dead tail gunner, the attempt to gesture to Sweden the salute. Brown receives the letter. He calls the number. Franz Stigler picks up the phone. My God, Brown says, it's you. They meet in Seattle. Two old men, former enemies. They embrace. They become brothers, fishing together, their families becoming one, until their deaths in 2008, just months apart. The legacy of this event is not written in any official war report. It is not an innovation of engineering or a shift in military strategy. It is a testament to the persistence of the human conscience, even under the most extreme pressure. The technology of 1943, the high-altitude bomber, the high-speed interceptor, was designed with one purpose: to make killing more efficient. The B-17 was a marvel of American industrialization. The Bf-109 was the pinnacle of German aeronautical design. Both were instruments of death. Yet, for 10 minutes, these two pieces of technology were subverted by the men inside them. This encounter stands as a profound reflection on the nature of warfare. It suggests that no matter how total the war, no matter how clear the orders, the final decision to act always rests with the individual. Franz Stigler was not a traitor. He was a man who upheld a code that he believed was more important than the one issued by his government. He saw men in a parachute, not an enemy aircraft. Charlie Brown was not a coward. He was a man who had the grace to accept a miracle and the courage to seek out its source. Their story echoes in modern conflicts, in the ethical dilemmas faced by drone operators, in the rules of engagement for soldiers in asymmetrical warfare, in the moments when a human being must choose between their duty and their humanity. The sky over Bremen is quiet now, filled only with the contrails of commercial airliners. The airfields at Jever and Seething are monuments to a different time, but the choice made in that cold air remains. It is a universal truth that in the cockpit of a machine designed for killing, at the height of a total war, mercy can appear. It is perhaps the ultimate act of defiance, an idea more powerful than any weapon. Every great idea begins as an act of defiance against impossibility. What impossible ideas do you think could change the world?